I saved up for a year, cleaned up my credit, and booked a week-long luxury trip to Europe for my parents. And they brought my unemployed sister instead. That phone call landed like a punch to the gut. I was at work when my mom rang. I answered, nervous and hopeful, my heart racing for good reasons. But then I heard her say, "We've brought Emily instead of you." Emily, my 26-year-old sister who's never held a steady job, who borrows money constantly, whose idea of saving is letting me pay for her ride shares and snacks. And there she was, taking my spot. I felt the world tilt. I'd worked overtime, sold off stuff I didn't need, skipped nights out, all to give them a trip they'd never forget. And they threw me under the bus for my sister. My voice shattered as I asked, "Mom, what? Why?" And she said casually, "We wanted someone with fewer obligations, someone who could relax." Relax? My obligations? Like the full-time job, the mortgage, the grocery runs, the dog that gets sick at 3 a.m.? I swallowed hard, and I realized this wasn't just inconsiderate. It felt deliberate, like I wasn't enough to be spoiled, but Emily was. I sat in the office kitchen, pressing the phone between my shoulder and ear, staring at the yellowed coffee stains on the counter, while my world collapsed in 3 words. We brought Emily. That trip wasn't just a gift. It was a promise, a thank you for the years I'd sacrificed. And they broke it, for someone who never lifted a finger to help. That hurt deeper than I expected. I stormed back to my desk and stared at my packed lunch. Salad, tuna, carrot sticks, packed with care for me on cold mornings. My coworkers laughed about their weekend getaway plans and brunches, and I felt like a spectator in a play I'd written but wasn't allowed to be in. The day crawled by. I drank black coffee like it was water. I saw my sister's Snapchat story. Mom, Dad, and Emily in Rome. Coliseum selfie, pasta dinner, gelato in hand. My chest tightened. My hands trembled. Anger, shame, disbelief, they tumbled inside me like an earthquake. What kind of parents do that? What kind of sister does that? But I knew my parents. They're all about harmony, or what they see as harmony. If conflict is coming, they'd rather erase the guilty party. They'd rather sweep it under the rug than face it. And my sister? Never had to face consequences. And now, I was paying. That night, I lied in bed with my phone on my chest, rewatching those stories on repeat. My heart hurt so bad it burned. It still felt surreal, like I was watching a movie where the hero gets cut from his own adventure. But while I lay there feeling sorry for myself, a question whispered in the quiet. Do I let this go, or do I make them see? I didn't sleep. I didn't cry. But inside, I started gathering every ounce of pride and strength I'd ever had. The next morning, I declined my friend's offer to meet after work. Skipped the happy hour. Instead, I called my boss and asked to work remotely. Then I went to the bank, cleared out a small stash of savings I'd built for emergencies. It wasn't revenge yet. It was preparation. When I woke up the next morning, I still hadn't gotten a reply to the message I sent the night before. It was simple. Just 6 words. I saw the pictures. You lied. That was it. No fluff, no drama, just facts. I'd booked the flights, reserved the 5-star hotels, paid in full for all 3 of us, me, Mom, and Dad. I had imagined us walking the cobbled streets of Florence, wine in hand, watching the sun dip below ancient rooftops. I'd even planned a surprise dinner in a Michelin-starred restaurant overlooking the Seine in Paris. It was supposed to be perfect. I never even imagined they'd go without me. And yet, there they were. Rome, Florence, Barcelona. Every photo made it clearer. They hadn't just made a last-minute adjustment. They'd planned to exclude me. When Mom finally replied to my text, it was late afternoon. We didn't lie. We adapted. You always seem so stressed lately, and Emily needed a break. Needed a break? My sister hadn't worked in nearly a year. She hadn't paid rent, didn't do house chores when she stayed with our parents, and constantly dropped her plans the minute they got slightly inconvenient. Her break was already permanent, but I was the one who needed a break. I just hadn't dared to ask for one until now. I stared at the message for a long time, rereading the words like they might rearrange into something that hurt less. Then I put my phone down and decided I wasn't going to explain myself anymore, because they didn't care to understand. What I did decide, though, was that I wasn't letting them come back to the same life they left behind. The more I thought about it, the clearer things became. My parents had always played favorites. Emily could crash cars, forget birthdays, lie about quitting jobs, and still be their golden child. But me? I got a B+ on a test, and it was, what went wrong? I paid bills on time, helped cook, drove them to appointments, called twice a week, and it was expected. Never praised, never acknowledged. This trip was just the final, shiny bow on years of quiet dismissal. So, I went silent. I didn't call, didn't text, didn't like or comment on any of their vacation posts. I just vanished. And they noticed. By the time they were halfway through their trip, I started getting messages again. Mom, hey sweetheart, hope work's not too stressful. Dad, saw a great leather shop here. You would have loved it. Emily even messaged, didn't mean to hurt your feelings. They thought it'd be easier this way. Easier. That word got under my skin. What was easy about betrayal? Instead, I took time off, booked a week away for myself. Not Europe, not some flashy destination, just a lakeside cabin a few hours out, away from all the noise. And I brought something important with me, a journal. One I hadn't touched in years. I started writing every night, not about them, but about me, about what I wanted, what I'd let slide, what I didn't want to tolerate anymore. By the end of the week, I had a plan. When they got back, I'd confront them, but not like I used to, not pleading for understanding, not desperate for validation. I wasn't going to yell or cry. I was going to take away the one thing they never realized I gave freely. My time, my care, my constant willingness to forgive. I would cut the cord. When they finally returned, sun-tanned and glowing, I waited. I didn't show up. I didn't call. And when they called me, I let it ring. They left a voicemail. Mom's voice, high and too cheery. Hi, honey. We're back. Let's have dinner this weekend, our treat. 2 days passed, then 3, then 5. On the 6th day, I called back. My heart didn't even race. Hey, I said flatly when Mom picked up. Oh, honey, you finally called. We've missed you. Emily said you've been distant. Are you all right? Not really, I said. You went on a trip I planned and paid for, without me. That's not something you just get over. She paused. We didn't think it would hurt you this much. And that was it, wasn't it? They didn't think. Or worse, they did, and it still didn't stop them. Emily isn't your responsibility, she added. She's just going through a lot. And I'm not, I said. I've been going through a lot for the past 10 years. She started to say something, but I cut her off. You know what? It's fine. I'm done asking for things I clearly don't deserve in your eyes. I'm done trying to impress you. You made your choice. You chose her. And I'm choosing me. Honey, don't be like that. Don't make this dramatic. Click. I hung up. I don't even think I felt guilty. What I felt was lighter. And that weekend, I posted something on my social media. A photo of the lake. A photo of me smiling, glass of wine in hand. The caption? Solo reset. The best company is the kind that doesn't ask you to shrink to fit in. No names, no accusations. Just the truth. And it burned them. I know, because Emily texted, You're making people think we're villains. I didn't respond. They made their choices. I made mine. A month passed. No birthday calls. No family dinners. No, we miss you, messages. But I didn't feel alone. I felt free. I went out with friends. I took cooking classes. I started sleeping better. I stopped waiting for my phone to— Not a text, not a voicemail, an actual handwritten letter. It was from my dad. His handwriting was still the same, neat, almost too neat, as if every letter was measured, like he was afraid of saying too much or too little. I opened it slowly, half expecting more excuses. But it wasn't what I expected. It read, "We're sorry. We didn't understand how deeply we hurt you until it was too late. Watching your silence has been painful, but we realize now that we earned it. We failed to put you first after everything you've done for this family. There's no excuse. We let Emily take your place, not just on the trip, but in our hearts, unfairly. You gave us something beautiful, and we didn't honor that gift. If you're willing to speak again, we would like to apologize to your face, but if you never call back, we'll understand. We just wanted you to know, we see it now, and we're sorry." I read it 3 times, and then I cried. Not because it fixed anything, not because it erased the pain, but because, for the first time in my life, they didn't try to justify their actions. They didn't say I was overreacting or too sensitive. They didn't blame stress or my job or Emily. They took responsibility. I didn't respond right away. I sat with it, let it sink in. And then, 2 weeks later, I agreed to meet them. We met at a quiet cafe near my apartment. Neutral ground. I wore black. Something simple, confident. Not to mourn, but to mark the gravity of this meeting. When I walked in, my mom stood up, like she might run to hug me. I didn't move. She stopped. "Okay," she said softly, and sat down again. Dad nodded at me. "You look good." "Thanks." We ordered tea, no small talk. Then I looked at them and said, "I read your letter." They both looked relieved, but I didn't smile. "I'm not here to make it easy," I said. "I'm not here to pretend everything's fine." They nodded. "I don't need you to defend anything. I just need you to understand exactly how deep this cut went. That trip was something I gave with love. It was the biggest gift I ever gave anyone, and you ripped it away from me. You didn't even tell me. You just replaced me." My mom covered her mouth. "I know," she said through tears. "We messed up. We thought you'd be okay, that you were strong enough to understand, and we completely missed how hurtful that was. We thought, wrongly, that Emily needed it more." "She didn't," I said. "She always needs something, and I'm always the one who sacrifices." They didn't argue, and that was new. Finally, my dad said, "You don't have to forgive us, but we hope someday you will." I looked out the window. "Forgiveness isn't the problem," I said. "It's trust. I don't know if I can ever trust you the same." Inside were photos of the trip. But not the kind they posted online, not the flashy ones. These were quieter. A picture of my mom sitting alone on a balcony in Florence, her eyes red. One of my dad in Paris, looking out over the river. A photo of a seat left empty at a dinner table. A folded napkin, my name written on a placeholder card. "We thought about you every day," Mom whispered, "but we didn't know how to say it without sounding selfish." I closed the album. "It's going to take time," I said, "and space. I need boundaries. I need you to accept that I'm not the fixer anymore." "We will," Dad said. "Whatever you need." We left the cafe without hugging, but they walked me to my car, like they used to when I was a kid. Watched me drive off. I saw them in my rearview mirror, standing still, like they didn't know if they were supposed to follow, and that was enough. That evening, I poured myself a glass of wine, sat by the window, pulled out the journal from my solo trip. And I wrote, "They showed up too late, but they showed up, and I don't owe them a road back. But maybe I'll leave the door unlocked." That's where I am now. Still healing, still angry, sometimes. Still catching myself before I fall into old roles. But I'm better, stronger, clearer. I say no when I want to. I ask for help when I need it. I don't apologize for taking up space. Emily tried to call after she found out we met. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail, crying, saying she didn't mean to hurt me. But here's the thing. I wasn't waiting for her to say sorry. Because I wasn't waiting for anything anymore. I've stopped living for the version of family I wanted. Now I live for the version of me that I fought so hard to build. So, if you're listening to this, and you've been the reliable one, the strong one, the background character in your family's story. I want you to hear me. You deserve center stage. You deserve to be the main character. And sometimes, that means walking off the set until they realize they lost the lead. Subscribe for more dark, faceless storytelling. What would you do if the people you loved most chose someone else instead of you?